of those books as well. But Andreas, thank you so much for coming on the channel to have a chat with me today about Bitcoin.
Oh, thank you. It's a real pleasure. Looking forward to this.
So I think let's just go ahead and really dive straight into this. And I think let's start off with talking a little bit about maybe some of the bigger mission of Bitcoin. And I think what we can start off with is talking about your thoughts on where the dollar is heading these days. I mean, do you see a situation where we could be seeing hyperinflation coming, or are we going to move into a more deflationary economy? We all know that meme that goes around, Bitcoin fixes this, but is it really fixing this? And has this crisis kind of lifted the veil, do you think, for a lot of people on the falseness of fiat?
Yeah, when people talk about what Bitcoin's real mission is, there seem to be really two big camps. One camp is a monetary perspective, an economic perspective that is about sound money, scarcity, limited supply, and low inflation. And the other camp is looking at Bitcoin as an open international currency that is accessible to all, anywhere, anytime, without vetting or authorization, available to the unbanked and underbanked, and a non-political, neutral, and open protocol for the internet that makes money possible on a much larger scale and creates economic inclusion. I'm in the latter camp. So my perspective on the monetary economics of Bitcoin isn't probably as strident as you might think. And I'm not sure how this plays out economically. To me, that's not the biggest and most interesting feature of Bitcoin. But obviously, it's important to many, and the economic implications are huge. So, it's funny how the most salient characteristic of Bitcoin from a monetary perspective is revealed primarily when international currencies, various international currencies, especially the reserve currency, the dollar, and others shoot themselves in the foot in the most spectacular fashion and create economic conditions that are very dangerous. I like to say often that I'm here to talk to you about the biggest monetary experiment and the most crazy, risky experiment that's ever happened. And no, that's not Bitcoin. It's the infinite quantitative easing, infinite stimulus, unlimited printing, and unlimited debt experiment. I think it's important to realize this has never happened before. So all of the people who are like trying to place bets on how this turns out, hyperinflation, deflation, stagflation, spirals, de-dollarization, and all of these other things, they have no clue. Nobody has any clue. And part of the reason for that is because we have no historical analog to go back to. This has never happened before. Certainly not on this scale, but not even in terms of the fundamentals. I think we're entering a very dangerous period. And the reason it's a dangerous period is not so much because of the economic impact of these moves, but more the political impact of these moves. And to me, the political impact of these moves is that we have detached from market forces and the fundamental economic basis for market pricing. And what that means is that we've moved into the territory of centrally managed economies that are fine-tuned by technocrats, and we've seen that experiment before. So we know that doesn't end well, because if you disconnect from market signals, a lot of malinvestments and misallocation of funds tends to happen. No country can really scale, especially a country as big as the United States, can really scale decision-making to the point where a few central bureaucrats can decide which companies are essential, which companies are non-essential, which companies should receive support, which companies should not, which employees should, how to allocate these enormous amounts of money that dwarf gross domestic product. And all of these moves essentially basically remove markets from the equation. That's a very dangerous move.
We've seen with the